Hello, my name is Bullets. This is my Superhot all secret submission for AGDQ 2019. We're just going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. All secrets is a character that's not been shown off GDQ before. Superhot was shown off SGDQ 2017 to actually a fairly good reception, especially on YouTube, but just in general. And the difference between this category and any percent, sorry, zone out for a second, had an existential crisis for no reason, is that there's these terminals that are hidden in each of these levels. Usually you read them and they will give you, they'll allow you to ask a question and it'll answer it. But you can mash escape right as you access each of these terminals and just skip all the dialogue completely, which is obviously a decent bit quicker. We are playing on Chinese because it's about, I believe, 20 seconds in total faster than Japanese, or than English, and then about 5 seconds faster than Japanese. So just get a bit of a time save from doing that. But definitely for the marathon we can just run in English, specifically so that it can be understood by most of the general audience. But either way, this secret right here is a bit challenging to find casually just because they've decided to put it underneath the map. It's probably one of the ones that took the longest to get, but definitely the interesting changes in the routing, where you're not just completing the level and then resetting, and then, or not getting the secret, completing the level and resetting. This will start to change more and more the further on we get. I believe Fight Club is a fairly good example of it, which will be coming up fairly shortly, in just a few splits. But the only reason we're restarting for a decent few of these is either it puts you in a position where you cannot get back in bounds, and thus you're pretty much forced to that, or any other sort of way of like falling out of bounds or just dying, just to get to somewhere where you can complete it. Or you're just so far out of the way that completing it normally is, or just resetting, completing it normally is going to end up being faster. There's also some situations where you could get back in bounds fairly easily, but all the enemies have either pulled up or grouped in a way that is kind of advantageous or inadvantageous, disadvantageous, where it's not really worth doing. But you still get a lot of these same with Superhot, just a lot of the flick shooting and high execution and trying to optimize your movement in a way where you're always moving. Since the mechanic where time stops when you do still applies, but for the most part for the speedrun we try to kind of mitigate that and go in a way where we are not slowing down. We're not letting time stop. There are some situations where it's challenging enough where we do have to, but the perfect run obviously would be you never stop moving. But it's better to take like a fraction of a second to line your shot up than to try to rush things and ultimately just miss all your shots. But regardless, we're going to be Fight Club, which is one that I mentioned before as the first level, where we're going to do some kind of convoluted stuff in terms of being able to finish the level in one go rather than two. So you actually have to get out of this little cage to get this terminal right here. And then what we're going to do is move over to this side here and grab the bat through the wall and hit him with it to avoid having to reset the entire thing. And that's just because you have to kill most of the enemies anyways to get to that point. So restarting would just be a waste of all those motions and all that time you spent doing that. So definitely a quicker way of just doing it once. For that, however, I don't believe there's a way to get back in bounds. So we just reset. Yeah, Desperado is definitely one of the more difficult levels. The game's randomness is, oops, we have to restart here. This is one of the stranger ones because you can miss it immediately if you don't jump to the right at the beginning. So a lot of people struggle with this one. And grab that. Even if you do know exactly where it is, it's still fairly difficult to get, just because you have to fall at the exact specific point to grab it. That was going to talk about before. The game doesn't have a lot of randomness. The enemies are always going to spawn in the same point if you move the same exact way. The only difference is the enemies will spawn with different guns in maps like this. And if an enemy spawns with a shotgun, it's going to react in a different way than an enemy that spawns with like a katana. You know, fairly common sense things. So we're actually going to try to complete this in one go. Actually, let's jump over here. It's a little bit easier to get up. I say as I miss. We want to take away his assault rifle so he doesn't shoot at us the entire time we're going. Also going to be using it for later on. But actually a fairly large platforming section of going up here, though I don't believe platforming is the strongest suit in this game, since you do get stuck on things a little bit. Either way, we're going to be taking the assault rifle. We're actually going to be shooting this guy because you just kind of start standing still. We're going to spawn these guys, and should not have too much difficulty killing them. Just like any percent, we are doing these little cutscene skips, these little dialogue box skips, where we're leaving levels right as we finish them, and it is allowing us to skip the cutscene that's afterwards, and it's allowing us also to get to the next level, because the next level, or the level's flag is finished the second you kill the last enemy, so you can just leave and re-enter, just fairly simply like that. So we're just gonna jump out here. The interesting thing is, usually when you do this level, you walk forward and it's a little bit of a thing that pops up on your screen, but because we get the secret and reset, it actually doesn't pop up on your screen anymore when you do this. So it was very interesting just because the amount of shotguns it gives you, but it's very nice. Just about the weapons in general it gives you is fairly nice just because of how much you can use, but also they end up kind of pooling on the other side as well, and also have another just entire like shelf of guns, so you have to kind of hope that your shotgun isn't too inaccurate, because that's the other bit of randomness in this game, can be the shotgun spread, but usually isn't too big of a deal in terms of like a marathon showing. At worst, you'll maybe die at the beginning of the level because of it. So this is Dog 1. This is the first level that does not have a secret inside of it. There's pretty much nowhere you would be able to hide it anyways. So don't have to do anything really different for this. But leading into hospital, they've hidden the secret down here. You want to grab it as you're falling. Obviously, in the case of this, you're pretty much immediately going to die after grabbing it, so not too slow to grab. And we still have hospital. Hospital is as hard as usual. You just really, really want to keep these enemies in their spawns and don't let them get out and group around and anything like that. I got very unlucky because they all spawn with assault rifles. Oh, that's very strange. Okay, actually, I died to the last guy, unfortunately. If you die on a level, you don't have to redo the secret. Once you've gotten it on that save file, so it isn't too awful to do. You don't lose a huge amount of time or anything like that. Actually, one of the more dangerous things in this level is people that just don't have any weapons in their hand, because they are much more like they do a lot more like evasive maneuvers, and they'll try to avoid you, and and do some strange things that kind of throw you off. They'll also go looking for guns. So if you've left like a, oops, just need to get on this dumpster. If you've left like an assault rifle on the ground, they'll just go straight towards, which can be nice. If you remember that you put a assault rifle on the ground somewhere, you can shoot towards it, knowing that they'll keep going. They won't change their path just because you fired a bullet that way. They're not that smart. Fortunately, guy didn't spawn here yet. There we go. So for that level, the enemies can either spawn with assault rifles or pistols, which you don't want them to all spawn with pistols. Like, pistols are easier to deal with. This is also the second level that doesn't have a terminal in it for us to go to, but you don't want all of them to have pistols. You want a few of them have assault rifles, but like just the right time so that they spawn them in front of you when you kill them, and you can use them. But you don't want all of them to have it because it just becomes a bit of a mess. So we don't want to kill all of them because it'll spawn this group of guys here. I'm actually gonna come over to here, terminal. Secrets are definitely very fun to find. It's like all hidden sorts of places where they make you feel like you've gone out of bounds and that you've gone somewhere the devs didn't intend you to, and then immediately you find a secret that they've hidden there. Fortunately, so like you saw there, like once they don't have a weapon in their hands, they actually become pretty predictable what they're gonna do. This is Elevator, which is one of the harder levels, both casually and for speedruns. And the best part about all secrets is you actually have to complete it twice. But the first time you complete it, you actually can't kill everyone. If you kill everyone, the level ends and you can't get to this secret over here. So you have to be careful not to do that, but you have to also make sure they don't grab the shotgun once you've knocked it out of their hands again. And then the second time you just complete it a little bit normally. This will be the final dog level. Each of these dog levels are kind of like little intermissions, and again, none of them have these terminals, so we don't have to really diverge any for this. So I'm mash clicking and then mashing escape. So this is one of the only real, I guess, breaks in the run, but I mean, for the most of it, there's definitely something to talk about regardless, with either just secrets or kind of how the route's been changed. But either way, this is one of the reasons that we changed language to Chinese, though, like I mentioned before, having it be in English is only like a 20-second increase, so it's really not too much of an issue to make it more, I guess, legible to people. Actually, Chinese is a fairly recent addition. We used to do Japanese when they released it, and then they've added this language, which is marginally faster as well. But coming up is Ballroom, which one of the less fair secrets. There's a few in this game, kind of like drop and stuff like that, where they're very difficult to find casually, just because you're literally going straight through an invisible wall. It can be a little frustrating since you can pretty much scope everywhere out and still not find it. But either way, once you deal with the guy with the assault rifle at the top, you pretty much have dealt with everything for this. Next is Meeting, which instead of going to the right, you just immediately go out the window and curve around the side. And then restart, just because it's just that little bit faster to restart instead of going back. And we're going to be clearing out these enemies, and just about the same way. That's unfortunate. I've never had the shotgun actually do that. That was the most interesting stuff, when the game decides to do something you haven't seen before. Happens every marathon. It's alright. I'm just getting used to the marathon luck now. You can be pretty aggressive here with these enemies. Enemies act differently once they've seen you. Like, if they'll run in your general direction, but once they actually physically see where you're at, they act a little bit differently. They'll be able to see you. They pretty much will track you through walls and shoot you a lot quicker than they normally would be able to. So, this is, I believe, the last level not to have a secret in it, other than the final level of the game. This is a pretty simple one. We still do have to do the Alt F4 at this point and quit out of the game. If I can actually punch myself correctly. Just because grabbing the secrets doesn't change this part of the run any at all. So as soon as the dialogue pops up, we can just quickly close it and reopen it. It shouldn't take too long. But beyond this point, like I said, only the final level is not going to have one. Even Long Way, which, if you remember from any percent, the 80% run for SGDQ 2017, seems like there's nowhere to hide it because it's literally just a long hallway. But it's a very interesting way to be able to tell that there's one there. I actually like the way they did that. Anyways, this is just a section of the game where the friend we've been ignoring the entire time for the game, the person that gave us the link to this game and allowed us to start playing it, we've been ignoring him the entire run. All those points when we've quit out of levels early and reopened it. It's been specifically to avoid cutscenes, but it's also been to avoid these little dialogue boxes that he has. And immediately when we Alt F4 and re-entered, it forces us to have a conversation with us. We're just not very happy about us ignoring him. And then he just stops responding to us, and we go back into the game. I just have to get into this fun little cozy prison over here. Listen to some fun, not listen, read some fun dialogue. And then we will be back into the point and click adventure that is Superhot. I think a lot of the secrets for this is fairly interesting where they hide it. I don't think there's quite as many dumb ones where it's just like this invisible wall or something silly. This is the best part of the run. If you mash it fast enough, which I was struggling a little bit with because mashing not one of my strong suits, but you can get it to say soup hot or hot soup. And you can jump around these sides. It's a nice little golf course over here. Look at all the nice golfing things. Fortunately, not enough time to go do anything with that. Just have to keep going with this. So we've gained the ability to hot switch, which is what you saw me do at the beginning of that level. Whoops, I accidentally left the level instead of going to the next one. I'll be doing it on this one as well. If you hot switch fast enough, you actually get. Oops, I don't need that pistol, but I guess we'll bring it with us. Just kidding. There it goes. You have to jump at just the right time here. It's like one of the more finicky platforming things, but if you do a little slow jump there, it's pretty much always going to work. I get the terminal up there. Obviously, the enemies are not very happy with us because we've just been kind of like jumping over their heads the entire time, so we're just gonna peace out and do this normally. Say hello to Shovel Knight. Say goodbye to Shovel Knight. He tried his best. He almost got to us. He almost swung at us. Proud of him. He always tries his best. But yeah, so I didn't go completely into it. Hot switching is just it's an ability we have on cooldown where we can switch bodies with an enemy, though our old body just kind of disappears or explodes, I guess, one of the two. It's on a bit of a cooldown on real time, so it's kind of just routed in as a for some of those levels. Ooh, we actually don't want that to happen. They can sometimes shoot each other. And if they do it, you think it'd be fast because you don't have to shoot an extra bullet, but you actually want this guy to die at a specific point right as you're going around this corner, so these enemies spawn, you can shotgun them. If that happens early, unfortunately, those enemies spawn earlier, and then they just have like free shot at you. But I actually don't have a hot switch routed into that level just because it's so cramped and small that there's no real reason to use it. We have our fun ASCII brain here as well. Sorry, where I was going with that. But yeah, for most of the levels, it's routed in somewhere. It's just that's one of the levels that's a little bit more difficult to put it into. It's a fairly strong ability just because it lets you play fairly risky and not get punished for it, I guess. The secret for this level is kind of out of the way, but we're actually gonna do it in one go. Usually when you hot switch into someone, they drop, or their weapon explodes, or not explodes, you immediately throw whatever weapon they're holding. But instead, we're actually going to, if you, like you saw what I did, I threw a phone at the guy and he dropped this weapon, then I immediately hot switched to him. So his weapon was still floating in front of him, so I just immediately grabbed it. So that's one way to avoid having their weapons just disappear or get thrown away when you hot switch to them. So this is where this fun terminal is. You get to do lots of exciting platforming. By exciting I mean terrifying. At this point it's fine if we fail because we already have the secret, but failing before you get the secret is just like it's a fun time loss. And we're just gonna hot switch to this guy all the way over there since we don't have a weapon. Well, you could bring a weapon with you there, but it's really kind of pointless to do since one, you have the hot switching, and two, you have to throw the weapon down. You can't access terminals until you don't have a weapon in your hands. You'd have to throw the weapon down, use the terminal, and then re-grab it, and when you can just do a hot switch, it's kind of pointless to do. Alright, so we're just gonna come down here. Which puts us, we can still get to this part of it, but we actually don't have the shotgun, so it's kind of bad to not restart. Sometimes those guys in the back of the train will actually shoot this guy. Interestingly enough, actually in katana mode, or katana only, you can slash that guy through the door and kill him, so you don't have to wait that extra time. Shoot him. Gate is a fairly easy terminal to get to, just a little bit of the platform in here. It's very trippy stuff on the outside, just like random desk chairs just floating around. So I don't think I've really explained it yet, but as you saw there, if you jump on an enemy's head, you actually just squish them. Which isn't used a ton, but it's used in a few levels. We used it in stuff like Fight Club. You actually get a Goomba Stomp achievement for doing it, so pretty good. We only have a few more secrets actually left, and then we are done with the speedrun. Actually, a special cutscene plays, not cutscene, special bit of dialogue happens when you get all the secrets. But that takes a while to read through. So we'll be skipping it a certain way. You actually you can't skip it by escaping like we normally would, and doing that. So we'll have to do something a little bit more creative. Either way, we just start the katana with this. So the strategy for this and for katana only are fairly similar until about halfway through. Once we get this assault rifle, it's obviously a little bit faster to shoot the dudes once they're that far away. Alright, so we have Long Way, which I talked about a little bit before, where it seems like somewhere you would not be able to hide a secret in, because it's literally a long, tall way. But I will show you one neat trick to figuring out where a secret is. So if you look at the lights on the top of the screen, you see one of them is a little bit tilted and makes a different sound when you go by. If you just go to the wall that's next to that one, you actually can just go through it. There's a terminal on the other side. See, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with invisible walls where the game tells you somehow. I'm not okay with the invisible walls where it's just invisible. But yeah, there you go. So if you ever see tilted lights when you're walking around a street, try to run to a wall, and you might just find a terminal that'll let you ask questions in Chinese. But yeah, we have core coming up. For those that not see the any percent run of Superhot, core is kind of a divergence from the original style of levels where you just kill everyone and then you win, and then you move on to the next level. The goal now is you need to hot switch into the giant red pyramid in the middle. Why we're doing that? You know, reasons, story reasons. But each time we hot switch into it, we get kicked out, and we have to take longer to hot switch next time, so we have to spend more real time moving around, or we have to spend more game time moving around. So we can actually strafe into corners like this to make time go as fast as possible, but that means the enemies are going to be moving as fast as possible as well. So this is one of the levels that most people struggle with casually, so we're going to do something a little bit cheap. Though it is still scary, because we're going to be jumping over top of all these enemies and getting over here. You're actually oh wait, never mind, we have to get the secret. It's almost as if this is all secrets. So we're actually gonna escape out and interact with the secret at the same time. And that's gonna let us get the last secret without having to look at the special bit of dialogue that plays when you get all the secrets. But you can still confirm that you got all the secrets by just going into the level select afterwards. Forgot I was in the second phase, I'm in the third phase. Either way. The first two phases are pretty simple, regardless of me dying for no reason. As you guys already saw. And then we're gonna immediately do some shenanigans and chicanery to finish the second two. Since there's 4 in total if you count the first one where you first enter the core. So we're gonna go to this area where the secret is, and we're gonna strafe against this wall to make the game time go at real time, which makes it take as little time as possible, but we're safe from all the enemies. Because usually you have to jump around and dodge all the enemy fire and kind of deal with that, but by doing this, it's not safe to get there. But once you get there, it's a lot easier, just given the difficulty level in general. And then we're just going to do this, and then we'll become part of the core. It'll be great. And it actually allows us to do infinite hot switching as we get into this. So you need to do it in a certain way where you hit all the enemies in one go. If you don't switch into somebody fast enough, it'll put you back into the core. So we need to jump between these guys and make sure that we're not taking too much time in between, and we're doing the route in a certain way where we are maneuvering to each of them. But that's pretty much all secrets. At this point, it's just a minute cutscene at the end of it. But definitely, I think it gives, it's a fun addition to any percent, because the added difficulty of finding the terminals along with doing the level normally. Just kind of the fun creative places that all these terminals have been placed adds a different layer to it. I think for people that already enjoyed the 80% run, they'll definitely enjoy all secrets just as much, with just kind of a small addition in time estimate. So just spice it up and make it interesting. And I think it, since it's a little bit difficult to explain in any percent why we go to that corner in core, or why we go to that little part up there in core, and kind of but there's a secret up there, since we haven't talked about secrets beyond that point. I think it makes more sense. But either way, hopefully some of the interesting routing and just the usual Superhot FPS fun times also came across. And I would love to show off Superhot again in any category. I think I'll also be submitting Katana only, probably New Game Plus. I might be submitting 100% as well, which might be a nice nighttime sort of relaxing clicking red dudes category. But either way, thank you for considering this submission for Superhot all secrets, and fingers crossed obviously.